The cafe went silent when the slap echoed through the room. Every person turned to see a powerful CEO standing over a tired-looking single father, her anger burning brighter than the city lights outside. But before anyone could judge the broken man sitting there, her bodyguard noticed the faded scar on his wrist and realized this was not a stranger. This was the man who had saved a life years ago, the man everyone thought had disappeared forever. Before we begin, if you believe kindness, forgiveness, and second chances can change someone's life, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel Heart Kindness Tales for more inspiring stories. The man's name was Callen, a quiet father who had learned how to survive in a world that rarely showed mercy. Every morning, he woke before sunrise in a small rented apartment, prepared breakfast for his young daughter, packed her school bag, and made sure she smiled before he walked out into another difficult day. He was not rich, he was not famous, and he had no powerful connections. But he carried something far more valuable than money. He carried a heart that refused to give up. 5 years earlier, Callen had been a successful engineer with a promising future. He had dreams of building a comfortable home for his family and giving his wife, Maribel, the peaceful life she deserved. But life changed in a single night when a tragic accident took her away and left him alone with their little daughter, Elara. The loss broke something inside him, but the responsibility of raising his child became the reason he kept moving. After the accident, Callen lost his job because grief made it difficult to focus. Bills piled up, friends disappeared, and people who once praised his talents suddenly forgot his name. He took whatever work he could find. He delivered packages, repaired broken machines, cleaned offices after midnight, and learned that a person could feel invisible even while standing in a crowded street. Still, every evening when he came home and saw Elara waiting by the window, his exhaustion became easier to carry. Her smile reminded him that love was not measured by wealth or status. It was measured by the sacrifices someone was willing to make when nobody was watching. On a rainy afternoon, Callen entered a small cafe near the business district. He had just finished a temporary repair job and wanted to buy a warm drink before picking up Elara from school. His coat was old, his shoes were worn, and his hands carried the marks of years of hard work. At the same time, the doors of the cafe opened, and a woman walked inside who seemed to bring her own storm with her. Her name was Serafina Vale, the CEO of one of the most successful technology companies in the country. She was known for her intelligence, confidence, and impossible standards. Newspapers called her a genius, competitors feared her decisions, and employees respected her discipline. But behind the expensive clothes and powerful image was a woman carrying wounds nobody could see. Serafina had spent years building an empire because she believed weakness would destroy her. She had lost her parents when she was young and grew up learning that emotions were dangerous. She became successful because she never allowed herself to slow down, never trusted anyone easily, and never showed the pain hidden beneath her achievements. That afternoon, she entered the cafe because she was meeting an investor. Her assistant had accidentally reserved a seat for someone else, and in the confusion, she noticed Callen sitting at the table she believed belonged to her. The situation was already tense. Serafina had spent the morning dealing with a business crisis, and her patience had disappeared hours ago. She saw only a tired stranger sitting where she needed to be. She did not see the father who worked 3 jobs. She did not see the man who fought every day to give his daughter a better future. Her anger took control. She accused Callen of ignoring the reservation and embarrassing her in front of important people. The cafe became uncomfortable as everyone watched. Callen tried to explain that he had only been sitting there because an employee directed him to the table, but his quiet voice was lost beneath her frustration. Then came the moment that shocked everyone. Serafina slapped him. The sound froze the room. Callen did not fight back. He did not insult her. He simply looked down, holding the pain in his eyes. Not because of the slap itself, but because for a moment he felt like the world had returned to the same place it had always pushed him into, a place where people judged him by his appearance instead of his heart. Then the tall man standing behind Serafina stepped forward. His name was Ronan Cade, her personal bodyguard and the only person in her life who knew how much pain she carried. He had protected her for years, but he had also seen her make mistakes caused by the walls she built around herself. Ronan looked at Callen's wrist, where his sleeve had moved slightly after the incident. A long, faded scar crossed his skin. It was not an ordinary scar. Ronan remembered it immediately. Years ago, before working for Serafina, Ronan had been involved in a dangerous accident during a charity event. A fire had broken out, and while people ran away, one person had rushed inside to save trapped strangers. That person had suffered a serious injury and disappeared before anyone could properly thank him. The scar on that hero's wrist had been the only thing Ronan remembered. The man standing in front of him was that hero. Ronan's expression changed completely. The tired stranger in the cafe was not a nobody. He was the person who had once risked his own life for others. The truth reached Serafina slowly. The anger on her face faded, replaced by confusion and shame. For the first time, she saw Callen clearly. She saw the exhaustion in his eyes, the kindness in his silence, and the strength it took to remain gentle after everything he had endured. She realized she had judged a person without knowing his story. Callen left the cafe quietly, but the moment stayed with Serafina. That night, inside her luxurious apartment surrounded by everything money could buy, she felt emptier than ever. She remembered the way Callen looked after being hurt. There was no hatred in his eyes. Only sadness. That affected her more than anger ever could. The next morning, Serafina searched for him. It was not easy. Callen had no large online presence, no assistant, and no powerful network. He was just a hard-working father trying to survive. Eventually, Ronan found his address through old records connected to the accident. Serafina arrived at Callen's small apartment expecting to find someone bitter. Instead, she found a home filled with simple warmth. Ilara's drawings covered the walls. A small plant sat near the window. The furniture was old, but everything was carefully organized. It was a place built not with money, but with love. She saw Callen helping his daughter with homework, and she understood something she had forgotten. Success was not only about reaching the top. Sometimes the strongest people were the ones quietly carrying responsibilities nobody noticed. Serafina apologized sincerely. She did not offer excuses or hide behind her position. She admitted that she had allowed her stress and pride to hurt someone innocent. Callen accepted the apology, but he also shared something that stayed with her forever. He explained that people often forget how powerful a small moment of kindness can be because they are too focused on their own struggles. Those words changed Serafina. Over the following months, she began helping Callen rebuild his life, but not by simply giving him money. She offered him an opportunity to return to his engineering career. She discovered his old designs and realized his talent had never disappeared. It had only been buried beneath years of survival. Callen joined a new project at her company focused on creating affordable technology for families who struggled financially. The work gave him purpose again. More importantly, it allowed him to show Ilara that losing everything did not mean life was over. Serafina also changed. Employees who once saw her as cold began seeing a different side of her. She listened more. She treated people with patience. She learned that being powerful did not mean standing above others. It meant using that power to lift someone else. Years later, the cafe where everything happened became a symbol of a different kind of success. Serafina funded a community center nearby where struggling parents could receive support, training, and opportunities. On the opening day, Callen stood beside her with Ilara, who had grown into a confident young girl. The scar on Callen's wrist remained, but it no longer represented pain. It represented courage, sacrifice, and the reminder that a single act of kindness can travel through time and return when someone needs it most. The world had seen a CEO slap a single father in a cafe. But what it did not see at first was the beautiful transformation that followed. One person learned humility. Another found a second chance. And everyone around them learned that a person's value is never defined by their clothes, their job, or their circumstances. Sometimes the people we overlook are the ones carrying the greatest stories. Sometimes the people who seem broken are the ones strong enough to save others. And sometimes one moment of compassion can heal wounds that have been hidden for years. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like, share, and engage with this video. Your support helps these stories reach more people who need hope and kindness. Before the story ends, leave a comment saying, "Kindness always returns," if you believe a small act of goodness can change someone's entire life. Because in the end, the greatest strength a person can have is not power, wealth, or fame. It is the ability to remain kind, even after life has given them every reason not to be.